Joining us now, she was the freshman of the year in the Big 12. Obviously, all Big 12 performers on the preseason All Big 12 team. She led Texas Tech in just about almost every offensive category you could think of, ladies and gentlemen. I speak of Kailey Wyckoff, who's kind enough to join us here right after practice. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Just tell us a little bit about this team this year. I'm curious to see what's been it like here now in your second season, and with some of the players obviously getting used to Coach Snyder.
Yeah, I think the team is still, the same team that we had last year, even though we had five seniors depart. I still think that we're the same team, we're all gel together, and I think we're really deep both ways, pitching and hitting. So I'm really excited to see what we can do this year.
You won 31 games last season there. And obviously you were a big part of that. When you look back at last season, what comes to your mind?
Um, I love the way that we were still there for each other, even if, we did have some losses where, it was hard, but to look back on it and know that every single girl on this team still has my back, whether or not I did good, whether or not, we all did good or bad, we still had each other's back and we were there to pick each other up.
You mentioned this year you like the depth that you have on this team. Tell us a little bit about some of your teammates that people maybe should be on the lookout for when they watch Texas Tech this season.
Um, so there's Maddie Wright. She's she's gonna be both ways for us this year. I'm really excited to see what she can do. And there's, Sage coming back too. I'm super excited about that. And me and Kennedy, and we also have two freshman catchers too that I'm really excited to see where they, take this year too.
What have you worked on personally in your own game? You had such a great season, which was amazing. We'll get to about your freshman season, but now you enter your sophomore season. You know teams are going to try to be, get ready. You're kind of a target from that standpoint. How do you prepare for that?
I think just mentally knowing that there's going to be even more challenges this upcoming year, that, people know how to pitch me now. They know what to pitch me now because they watch film and all that. And I think just getting over the mental hump of knowing that, I can still beat them and they're still the same pitcher. They're still the same people they were last year. So,
Describe Craig Snyder and his coaching style, especially coming within the offensive side of the ball.
um, he's very I would say he's very family oriented. Like he still stresses that, like if we're not doing so hot hitting that day, somebody else is going to pick you up, You always have your back. There's 26 girls on this team and somebody's always going to have your back if you're not having your best day. And I think that he stresses that a lot to us, and that's kind of the mindset that we've always had.
For those that have not watched you play, how would you describe someone who Kailey Wyckoff is as a player?
Mm, that's a good question. I've never thought about that. Mm, I would like to say I'm pretty fun and upbeat when I play because I think I'm super competitive and I love being with my team. I love playing with every single one of these girls. It's super fun. They're super fun to be around on game days, and I love the atmosphere that we create every single game day. So
What got you into playing softball? How long? When did you start playing softball? What got you hooked?
I think I was 4 years old when I started playing T-ball. I think it was like a rec league in my hometown, and I just kind of picked it up. I played a few other sports here and there. I was a gymnast for a while and I played volleyball. I did play volleyball in high school, and I love softball so much. I love the team aspect, and I was so competitive at it. And growing up with, a lot of these girls that I see now in college doing so good, I just wanted to keep playing in college. I knew softball was for me.
Describe you as a gymnast and a volleyball player. It's funny. A lot of softball players play volleyball and vice versa. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. That's fascinating. But just tell me about that your experience there playing volleyball and then being a gymnast.
I think I think my mom put me in gymnastics to try and I think it was kind of like oh, we're gonna throw you in dance kind of thing. And I mean, I was tiny growing up. I was always very small compared to the rest of the girls in my class because even though I was the younger of my like people or like the group of girls I was playing with and like competing against, I'm still the older one in my class in school. So like I think it was just kind of like a oh we'll try it out and then it didn't seemingly work out for me
No?
the way that we thought it was going to. So and then when I got to high school, I tried basketball in middle school and I didn't really like it, but I loved volleyball. So I played club volleyball for a little bit. And then the schedule was hard to manage with softball because club volleyball is also a spring sport.
Yeah.
So it was just a little bit too hard to manage and I had to give it up because I knew softball is where I was supposed to be.
What
So
position did you play in volleyball?
I was a setter.
Wow, the setter position. Was there any aspects of volleyball that's helped you in softball? Because again, I'm so fascinated. There are so many softball players that have said they played volleyball, and I've talked to many volleyball players in
Mhm.
Division One that said they played softball. So there's clearly some sort of a unique connection there. I know, so what was it for you? How do you think volleyball maybe helped you in softball?
I think it helped with my hand-eye coordination a lot because, you know, as a setter, I was using my hands a lot, but I also had to be able to see out of my peripheral the other side of the net to know who I was going to set. And I think that really helps me with like tracking the ball in as a catcher and like being able to block balls and pick balls and even like see different pitches when I'm hitting.
That's a great point. That makes a ton of sense with the hand-eye coordination. Did you have a favorite athlete growing up, either in softball or just in sports in general, that inspired you?
I would probably say my favorite athlete was JJ Watt growing up. I loved him. I loved how he was, you know, also a family guy. He grew up and he just, you know, was always, I could tell he was always super fun to be around and he was so competitive all the time. And I actually, when I was playing select softball growing up, I was number 99 because of
Really?
him. Yes, I was.
Oh, 99. So how did the JJY? Was you just watching him play? Were you a Texan fan? Like did you become a Texan fan because of him? What's the story behind the JJY?
Well, I'm from Katy, Texas, which is about an hour west of Houston. So I was always a Texans fan growing up. And yeah, I would always watch them on Sundays.
Do you still
And
follow
it's
the
always one of my
Texans?
favorites.
Are you still
I'm
following
sorry?
them? You following the
Yes.
Texans?
Yeah.
That was a good year this year.
Yeah, it was.
CJ Stroud and company getting to the divisional round. That's pretty cool there. You mentioned you're from Katy, Texas. Describe Katy, Texas for anybody that's not been there.
Hmm. I always try to describe Katy as a small town that feels big because when you're there, you you drive around Katy and you're like, oh, this is definitely a small town. Like we have one main road, one main highway that everyone drives down, but you know every single person that walks through that town. Like if you go to the store, there's always somebody that you know and you can say hi to. If you go to, I don't know, go hit somewhere, there's always somebody else there. You're like, oh, I played with them. Or so I feel like it's still very big, even though the part of Katy where I'm from, the city of Katy is growing drastically in the last few years, but the part where I'm from, I feel like is still very small hometown feel.
How did you end up at Texas Tech? Take us through that process and deciding to go to Texas Tech.
So before this, I was going to SFA. I was signed under Coach Dixon, and then when she decided to leave, I also decided to decommit there. And when I heard about Texas Tech, I, you know, came up here and visited the campus with my mom and we walked around and I was like, I know that this is where I need to be. This feels exactly like my hometown. They had my major, they had everything I loved, you know. Lubbock itself is a college town, so everybody will know who you are and they're always about Texas Tech. So I knew that this is where I needed to be.
That's incredible. Do you wonder sometimes if it was just things that are meant to be, like things happen for a reason, and that you were meant to end up in Lubbock?
Yes, I say that all the time. I actually have a tattoo on my right forearm that says everything happens for a reason, and I truly believe it, that like everything happens in my life for a reason, and I was put here for a reason.
I agree with that. Describe being a student at Lubbock here at Texas Tech. What's it like being a student?
It's Everybody here is super helpful. If we ever do need any, help with schooling or anything like that, there's always somebody you can call. Some of the girls on the team are also taking some of the same classes that I am right now. So we always have like group study sesh and like stuff like that. And we just, feed off of each other, whether it's like I have a class right now with Jenna Lord, and we always go to study hall and we study together all the time. So there's always somebody in your corner that you can come talk to, and there's always tutors that can help, and our academic advisor is super helpful. She's so cool. So
The Big 12 this year's got some new members. UCF, BYU, and Houston are joining the league. So you're gonna have a lot of people over the next couple of years going over to Lubbock, Texas for the first time. Where would you recommend fans and people to go if they go visit Lubbock, Texas?
like to eat,
Yeah, you could be eat or
or
just check out anything, whatever you think is they should do. If a bucket listing, if you go to Lubbock, you make sure you do blank.
so the first thing I would say, which is probably gonna sound really funny, is we have a lot of, desert land, and that calls for a lot of prairie dogs. So we have a prairie dog town. It's literally called Prairie Dog Town, and there's a little coffee shop that you can go to while you're there, and there's a little lake, and there's just prairie dogs running all around on the ground that you can watch if you wanted to.
I,
It's
I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad that was one you brought up because I had some friends that went to Lubbock in the fall, and they were recommended to go exactly there because of that exact reason. Explain that maybe that for people like the phenomenon with that because I didn't realize that until my friends were telling me like that's a big deal up there in Lubbock.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think not a lot of people just would realize that prairie dogs love to dig holes, and we have a lot of desert land, so they would, it's a perfect place for them to go dig holes, and they're actually really cute, but I heard that they're not so nice, so I've never actually tried to pet one, but they look really cute from afar. So
Well, better be safe than better be play gal. You're safe on that. That's pretty
yeah.
good. All right, that's a good recommendation. Describe what did you learn from playing in the Big 12? What is it like to play Big 12 softball?
And I would say that you have to be mentally tough, and you have to, have a next pitch mentality, definitely a lot, because there's always things that, don't go your way. And if you keep dwelling on it, then it's going to catch up to you. And, if you can't make changes and you can't make adjustments quickly, then the game's going to catch up to you really quickly.
Do you remember your first practice as a freshman there? And take me through that as, because obviously you have a new coach. Coach Snyder, is trying to learn the players. The players are trying to learn him. You're trying to win a spot, which, spoiler, you ended up more than just winning a spot. But what was that like? I mean, because you mentioned it. This wasn't the original plan. You weren't planning on playing for Coach Snyder. It just kind of worked out that way. But, you've got to, win a job. You got to prove to him and the coaching staff that, hey, I deserve to play. So take us through that process.
So I don't exactly remember what that first day was exactly like or what we did, but I do remember that I was very nervous, as one would be as a freshman coming in. I had honestly no idea what to expect, but the upperclassmen really took me under their wing, and I talked to Kennedy Kreitz a lot. She knows, she has experience in the Big 12, and so I would go to her for a lot of things and like ask her a bunch of questions, and we would talk back and forth about a lot of things. And yeah, so I think she really was there, to help me get over my nerves that I had. And then after we had the tumbleweed contest, I think that was like I like calmed down after that, because I was like, this is cool. I need to, take all of this in one moment and quit being so nervous. I just knew I needed to like live in the moment after that, because I was like, who else is doing that? Nobody. Nobody
I
that I've ever seen is doing a tumbleweed contest at practice. So
All right, I have to follow up. I went tumbleweed. It's first I've heard of tumbleweed. This what is a tumbleweed practice there? What does that entail?
so the first, I think it was the first week of the fall last year, we Coach Snyder comes out and we have this thing called gate, is where we talk about, the practice plan and what's going to go on before then. And he comes to us and he's like, team, I think we need to do a tumbleweed contest. And then he explains the concept of a tumbleweed. And when a tumbleweed grows and then it eventually dies, it rolls all over the place and you're like, oh, that's annoying, but it has seeds that it sprouts everywhere, so it's still growing and it's still spreading all of the seeds everywhere, and then there's new sprouts and whatnot. And he like related it back to the team. And then we had a tumbleweed contest, and he was mentioning how doing this tumbleweed contest means that you're all in for the team, even though tumbleweeds and softball have nothing to do with each other. It was the concept of for the team that really it was the tumbleweed contest, and we were like, okay, and everyone went out, and that next Monday we had tumbleweeds, and we actually still have them in our front yard because we did it again this year.
Who's won these contests? These two of years.
Actually, I did last year, and
Oh,
and this year D McClarity won the tumbleweed contest.
what's the key to winning this contest?
I think knowing people who have big cars and trunks.
I feel like you just let a big dark secret there, or, the passage there. All right, well, that's pretty fascinating. But it sounds like it was a great, it worked from a
Mhm.
team bonding standpoint, which it sounds like what's what Coach Snyder wanted to accomplish as well.
Yes. Yes.
Do you have a favorite memory from a game or a moment that you from last season?
I think when we beat OSU, when we call her Pecan, when Pecan walked it off, and everybody was, obviously cheering and happy. And then that next week, the national photo of the week came out, and it was her hugging Henry, Coach Snyder's son. And I think that was just like the aspect of, our entire team is family. And I think that really, solidified it, and it was super cool to see.
Do you remember what do you remember of the day when you found out you won the freshman of the year in the Big 12? There's been some famous softball players that have won that award in the Big 12, and you get to join that illustrious list. What do you remember when you were and when you find out?
We were at the end of practice. He was, talking to us and was like, okay, good practice, guys. We, did good today. We all hit good, whatever. And then he mentioned that I had won, and I was shocked in a way. And then I couldn't control myself and I started crying because it was overwhelming. It was nice to hear. Definitely. I was very shocked. I didn't even know, like, I wasn't even thinking about it, honestly.
Really?
I was just, yeah, it wasn't really in my mind even. So I
Was
think
it
that's why when he told us and when he told me it, like, it kind of hit me hard.
rightfully so? You had a great year there. Was it just one of those things? Just what is even in your thought, or you just didn't think you had a chance to win it, or why? Why do you think it was one of those things? You just didn't think of the award stuff. You were thinking about maybe the next practice in the next game.
Yeah, no, I was just going through, practicing, and I don't really try to think about any of those types of things. I mean, they're nice to, have and get, but at the end of the day, I try not to think about those things because it can get in your head.
Were you
So,
able to tell your family, and or did they already know by the time you reached out to them?
I did call my mom after that, and she was crying as well.
That's a special moment there. That makes a ton of sense there.
Yeah.
You're still young, so I don't know. Do you know what you want to do post softball in your life? Do you have plan? Are you still figuring that out?
I'm still figuring it out. There's a few things that I have in mind, but I at the end of the day, I truly have no idea.
Do you have a major right now? Do you have what's your major if you have one?
Animal science.
Ooh, okay, very good. Uh, what's your favorite thing about play? What's the favorite part about softball that you just enjoy the most?
The competitive nature of myself and everyone around me. Like everybody, every pitch, everything that we say is super competitive, and I love that. I love, you know, I am truly one of those people that, feels for other people when they have success. I love seeing other people have success just as much as my own. So like if I were to do bad, but my teammate were to do super well, I'd be like, heck yeah. And give her a high five. I'd be like, you did so good today. Good job. I try to be that person when it comes to things like that, because it doesn't make me think about how I did. Because it really doesn't, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how I did. It matters how the team did. So, if I can lift somebody up, if they're doing bad or anything like that, then I think I did my job.
Give that positive feedback, right? Give
Yeah.
encouragement that keep that person upbeat, and that's positive. And that's so important in the sport like softball because, as you know, there's more failures than success. Doesn't matter how good you are, and that's important to keep that in mind and that positive mindset moving with each game because it's not every game's going to go your way, or every at bat's not going to go your way. So that's a big factor in having success, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
When people go see Texas Tech softball this year in 2024, whether it be at home in Lubbock or in various places you're going to be playing this year, and in particular going to open up in Tallahassee to start the season. That's a marquee tournament there for opening weekend. What do you want people to see and know about Texas Tech softball 2024?
I want people to know that we're still the same team that we were last year. And I think that honestly, I think that we, have a lot of talent on this team. And I'm super excited for everybody to, come out and see us, watch us play, and so we can showcase that talent and show everybody what we're truly about.
A lot of good success stories going on campus too. Football going to a bowl game, baseball obviously it's great tradition and history there. Men's basketball having a good season. Do you all go together? Do you go to these sporting events? And as fellow players, do you feed off of that, like other student athletes doing well?
Yes, definitely. Like I try and go to as many other, sporting events as I can, but like every sport I feel like is so, I don't know, we're all friends with each other in a way, even though we don't play the same sport, but we're always together, whether it's like working out together at the same time or we go eat together at the same place. Like we're always together, and there's always people in other sports supporting other sports, which I think is really, really nice to see and really nice to feel the love from other people, and knowing that everybody on campus has your back too. That's like, for instance, our uh women's basketball team played yesterday and they won. Whoop whoop. And the entire volleyball team had made signs pregame and was sitting in the front row cheering them on.
Ooh,
So
nice. That's pretty
yeah.
good. What's your favorite sport to attend?
Oh no.
That's all right. The lights are out. That's all right. What's your favorite sport here as we wrap up here?
I love watching volleyball,
I
rightfully so.
figures,
I played
figures. It
it.
goes full circle. Well, make sure they all come to your games too, right?
Yes.
It's got to be a two-way street there and support you
Yeah.
because you've earned that very much. Hey, thank you for doing this. Thanks for taking the time from a busy schedule after coming out of practice. And hey, congrats on the success you've had to this point. You earned that award last year, and good luck this year. Stay healthy, and thanks for telling your story to us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.